Welcome everybody to our webinar series on elevating your aircraft availability in Veryon tracking, specifically around AI. We're super excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So to kick things off, first of all, we're just going to start with some introductions, and I'll go kind of through the agenda of what today's webinar is going to be about. So first, just want to introduce myself. I'm Brandon Watson. I've been with Veryon now for about a year and 5 months. My main focus is in product management over maintenance tracking, and most recently helping with getting our new air maintenance planner integrated into tracking, which is what we are here to talk about. A little bit later, Lindsay McGee, one of our customer success managers with Veryon, will join us, as well as Matt Mitchell and Devin Watson with Hendricks Motorsports. We'll have a kind of a little bit of a panel discussion to kind of cap things off today towards the end. Um, and as far as like what we'll be covering, first, we'll briefly touch on our benchmark report that was released a few months ago. And then we'll talk about Veryon Air, a new platform that we just released, and how we have integrated it into maintenance tracking. And last, our panel will be brought in to have a discussion around what we discussed, like I said, and answer any questions that you have. We'll have kind of a short Q&A as time permits. And also wanted to point out that as you have questions throughout the discussion, feel free to put them in the chat. We have somebody monitoring that chat, and we'll be able to answer those questions kind of as we go. And then we'll also have a little bit of time at the end to answer some live questions as they come in as well. Let's kick things off. Let's kick off the conversation and speak for a second around this rise of AI in aviation. And let's be honest, AI has become kind of a buzzword, right? ChatGPT, Perplexity, they make headlines when they have an update to share. But aviation is a different world. We can't hallucinate answers when safety and compliance are on the line. So let's simplify that, right? When we talk about AI maintenance, we're usually referring to a few, core things. We talk about machine learning, which are algorithms trained on millions of past events to detect patterns, and natural language processing, for example, extracting meaningful data from messy logbook entries and maybe some defect write-ups, right? And more recently, AI agents that combine both of those things to help humans troubleshoot faster. And now some of you may be thinking, what in the world is an AI agent? Don't worry, I will cover that here in just a few minutes and clear up any questions or confusion around that. But as we get a little further, we're going to be discussing key insights from this year's aviation maintenance benchmark report, which was created to go beyond surface level stats and get to what's really actually happening inside operations today. We released this report and made it available for anybody a few months ago. It reflects input from over 800 aviation professionals, over half of which from business aviation, sharing real data on what's working and what's not working and where they're seeing the most pressure in 2025. And what we found is that while technology continues to evolve, the day-to-day frustrations haven't really gone away. Teams are still battling paperwork, data silos, and having kind of that reactive maintenance cycle. And what's powerful about this report is that it doesn't just describe the problems, it highlights what the top performing operators are doing differently. And these teams are investing in data visibility and smarter decision tools that let them act before a problem grounds their aircraft. And that's really the heart of what we're here to talk about today, turning those insights into action with the help of AI. And again, if any of you are interested in learning more about this report in more detail, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen to download a free copy of that. And I'll just leave it up here just for a second so you guys can scan that if you would like. All right. So a consistent theme for us this year and throughout the day is AI, both its potential as well as the implementation challenges operators are facing when implementing that. When we talk about AI in aviation, there are two, there's lots of hype, there's lots of confusion. And what we're seeing though is a turning point. AI is already starting to make maintenance more predictive, more proactive, and more efficient. And at the same time, the hurdles are still very real. Integration isn't easy. A lot of teams are struggling with inconsistent data, or they just don't have the internal resources to deploy AI effectively. And importantly, AI isn't replacing technicians, it's really amplifying them. What we're focused on at Veryon is removing those barriers, giving maintenance teams tools that use AI in ways that feel natural, useful, and trustworthy. And this is really where AIR comes in. Business aviation runs on reputation, relationships, and responsiveness. And when an aircraft goes down, it's not just a delayed rotation, it's a missed commitment, a frustrated owner, and a ripple that just hits crews, schedulers, charter revenue, and customer confidence all at the same time, right? One write up at the wrong moment can jeopardize a trip. And in this environment, there's no such thing as acceptable downtime. Minutes matter, and because every minute uh, risks a broken promise in the industry, that's really that minute counts exponentially. And that's why we're excited to introduce you to Veryon Air, which is an aviation-specific AI designed for this reality. It brings foresight into the discussion and the decisions that decide your day. Seeing risk earlier, narrowing fault isolation faster, and recommending fixes that have worked on your make and model, so you can prevent the avoidable and recover from the inevitable, really. And the goal is simple: protect the trip, keep schedules intact, and get your aircraft back in the air faster, because predictability isn't a luxury in business aviation. It really is the job, right? So when we take a step back and look at, the real blockers, their data silos, disconnected systems, shrinking crews, and pressure to do more with less. And it becomes obvious why so many operators feel AI is still a someday capability. And that's exactly what we set out to change here at Veryon. We didn't want AI for the sake of saying we had AI. We wanted something that made troubleshooting faster, decisions clearer, and operations more predictable. And that's why our AI journey didn't start as a trend. It started a decade ago as an investment in helping maintenance teams perform their best without doing more with tools, but with more, because they have more workload, they have more complexity, and all of those things combine to make it very difficult to do those things. So let me just walk you through our evolution and how it kind of unfolded, right? So if you look at, for more than 15 years, we've been applying AI to aviation problems, not just as a bolt-on thing, but as a core capability. Back in 2010, we pioneered clustering and early natural language processing on maintenance narratives. We introduced advanced search and electronic FIM to put information where technicians work. We also introduced cloud migration, expanded ingestion and training, and we added auto tagging to chronics of two. And we learned, and also alerting to surface patterns sooner in those chronics. And today, AIR operationalizes that foundation, combining the industry's largest de-identified data set with your operational data to guide decisions in real time. And going forward in the future, agentic capabilities working across products will become a major focus, where we put AIR everywhere, delivering predictive maintenance with explainable guidance and with human in the loop oversight. So when it comes to Air Veryon, it's not just a generic chatbot that we've launched or that we're talking about here. It's the culmination of a long runway of domain-specific AI. So let's introduce Veryon Air and what it brings to your operation. So Air AI for aviation maintenance and reliability. So AIRE. You can see where we're going, where we got the name and the benefits it brings to your operation. It's not just a standalone product, but instead it's a platform with a set of capabilities, some that users engage conversationally with, and others that just sit behind the scenes that look at your data and make recommendations based on trends, which are interwoven across our products and solutions and designed to help you maximize your flying time. So specifically, what Air does is it delivers smarter, faster fixes. It'll recommend the most likely fixes to boost first-time fix rates, enabling technicians to ask publication-specific questions and jump directly to troubleshooting steps. It has intelligent fleet management. It automates routine work, reduces maintenance expenses, and optimizes critical maintenance tasks and inventory management. It also has it helps with enhanced reliability, so services chronic patterns, rogue components and short life parts, and trend degradation early before they escalate into expected AOGs or unexpected AOGs. And regardless of the size or scale of your operation, Air equips you with insights and workflows that help you increase fleet airworthiness and reliability. So the question is, how does Air actually work? So let's get into that. So the foundation of Air, our Air data intelligence platform, is unparalleled data, really. It's decades of experience working with business and commercial operators that translates into de-identified data, or more than 80 million maintenance events, 1.3 million parts, 2 million chronic defects, and so on. And so a data set this large and specific is a perfect training ground for our new proven AI algorithms. And our industry experts are consistently fine-tuning and expanding Air's functionality within our products to deliver even greater value to our customers. So let's talk about what happens when all this intelligence is applied directly inside Veryon tracking. This is where Air stops being abstract and starts becoming practical, and where it meets your daily maintenance workflows. Air automates a lot of the repetitive time-consuming work, things like data entry, validation, and record reconciliation. So your teams spend less time typing and searching inside the product and more time making real decisions. So that means faster turnaround time, reduced downtime, better data accuracy, but the real game changer is how it does that, right? And that's through something we call agentic AI. Now, you've probably heard a lot of AI buzzwords, so let me break this one down in plain terms, and kind of I alluded to that earlier today, right? So traditional AI is reactive, right? It waits for you to ask a question or give it a command. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is proactive. It understands your goals, your operational context, and it knows when to act. Think of it like having a digital maintenance co-pilot. It doesn't just respond when you need help. It's consistently scanning your data, recognizing patterns, and stepping in before a potential issue becomes a delay or an AOG. Inside tracking, that means Air can flag when a component trend looks off. It can suggest a corrective task or even start a workflow automatically. It interprets data the same way an experienced tech would, by connecting dots across the aircraft history, parts usage, and maintenance events, and only faster and 24/7. That's the power of what we call agentic AI, or what the industry calls it, right? It's not just another tool in your software stack, an intelligent partner that works alongside your team, anticipating needs and keeping the operation one step ahead. So let's take a look at how Air comes to life specifically within each of our products here at Veryon. So first, in tracking, I kind of just mentioned that Air really changes how controllers, planners, and managers interact with their fleet data. Instead of digging through menus or running reports, you can simply ask questions and get instant answers. Statuses, due and overdue items, life limits, MEL, CDLs, open discrepancies, all that's available conversationally in Air. It flags blockers and surfaces inventory positions that when you're close to minimums. And this means less time spent searching on or making phone calls and more time keeping aircraft moving. And the payoff is very measurable, right? It's time saved on routine checks, lower costs from better parts readiness, improved accuracy for compliance, and stronger planning to avoid last-minute disruptions. So that's in tracking. If we go over to our publications, manuals and documentation, right? That's publications. And in pubs, Air turns complex manuals into something instantly usable on the line. Technicians can ask task-specific questions and be taken directly to the exact OEM approved procedure with figures highlighted and no more scrolling PDFs or hunting through indexes, right? It's all right there, right in front of you. It also identifies the parts referenced in the task and connects them to the IPC, surfacing alternates when available. And all this is fully traceable. Citations, revisions info, and the source links are preserved so QA and compliance teams can trust what's executed. So really, again, the outcome is very clear. Faster return to service, fewer errors, reduced downtime. Air really makes this very streamlined and makes confidence uh, very accurate and efficient. And it's one of those areas where AI really makes life easier right now, not 5 years from now. Um, and then the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about was kind of how this all comes together and what we call the unified product experience here at Veryon. Many of you are probably aren't aware of our full software product suite. You can see here from our kind of our fan graphic that we show here that we provide everything a maintenance operation would need, from insights in chronic defects, what to do to fix these defects through our work center, troubleshooting and publication of products, how to manage inventory, integrate with your flight operations, and then finally how to report and manage longer term reliability and maintenance tracking needs. So why does this really matter though? Well, many of our customers are struggling today with point tools or a combination of systems that creates challenges with end user efficiency across operations and unintentionally also siloing data. And so people are seeking out a reduced set of technology providers who can streamline their user experience and also unlock data insights. So needless to say, this really does reduce burden on IT teams, and also it can reduce costs by cutting economies of scale with fewer vendors. And you want to be assured that whether you're a line tech or a reliability analyst or a fleet manager, you're looking at the same source of truth. And that's a unified experience, which means fewer logins, less system friction, smarter insights. And for customers, really, it's about reducing complexity and unlocking the full power of predictive analytics. All right, so we've gotten through all of that. Now we're going to kind of move over into a live demo of Air, and you'll get to see it in action. And in the demo, you'll see how Air is kind of embedded directly into Veryon tracking. It's not a separate add-on, but it's a natural part of the workflow. And as we go through this, think about the possibilities for your own operation, how much time your team could reclaim, and how much more consistent your maintenance outcomes could really become. So everybody should be seeing my screen here. This is what you see when you first log into maintenance tracking at Veryon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through just a high-level demo of maintenance tracking for those of you who are just seeing this for the first time. And then I will show you Air inside of Veryon and the different capabilities that it has, right? So when you first log into maintenance, you're greeted here with kind of these tiles, right? And these tiles each represent different items that could or should need your attention, right? So we can look at past due AOGs, we can look at with anything in tolerance or anything that may be coming due, which basically represents your due list of items that are happening on your aircraft. We have non-routine maintenance that you can easily get to. You can look at your logbook entries, any work orders that are outstanding, and any work orders that have been specifically assigned to you to work on for the day. This is a list of all of your aircraft in your fleet. I can click on um, any tail number in my fleet, and then that will automatically bring up my due list, items that are coming due, um, cabin type inspection, anything. It's going to give me the code, the description. It's going to give me when that due date is and the status of that particular item. I can also go in here and look at reports. I can look at non-routines. I can add non-routines to a maintenance item. And so everything is very pretty straightforward when it comes to everything here in this maintenance area. I can look at logbooks. I can see logbook entries that have been added in on work performed on each of your aircraft in your fleet. I can also go over here and I can manage my inventory. So if I go over to inventory here, I can see um, items that have been expired. I can see low stock items, items that are out for repair. And so these tiles that you're seeing here kind of give me an overview of what's happening with my inventory. And so between these two modules here, they kind of make up what uh, Air today can actually look at. We just launched Air about 2 months ago, and so it's constantly getting a little bit better, a little bit smarter. And for right now, what I'm going to cover today mainly covers everything inside of maintenance and everything inside of inventory, and that's what Air is really going to be looking at when you launch it. So when we think about Air in general, right, it's this button right here. So if it's enabled for you in your instance of maintenance tracking, it's just going to be this button. I click on the button and this window will slide out. Now I have a list of things that I've already kind of pre-can asked it. We'll go through and I'll show you what it looks like when you actually prompt the bot. But basically, what it is it acts just like how you would interact with ChatGPT. You ask it a question or you give it a prompt, and then it gives you an answer. Now, we've made things pretty simple as well. If you don't really know what to prompt the chatbot, you can click any one of these buttons down here. If you click maintenance status, which I already did earlier, it's going to give you a list of all of the aircraft in your fleet and all of the due items related to that particular tail number in your fleet, right? I can also click into that tail number, and then it's going to show me more details about what is coming due and with that particular aircraft in your fleet. So it's going to tell me that I have an oil change due. It's going to say that I have an airframe inspection coming due. And then it's also going to be able to show me by task and by date of when each of those things are going to be coming through. And those are the type of things that you can ask the AI, right? Like you can ask it for a specific um, about a specific task and when that due date is coming on that task. It'll search through the database, it'll search through your data, and then it'll come up with that particular information without you having to go and search for it particularly meticulously through the system, right? Um, if I want to expand the window, I can make this bigger and I can interact with the chat only through here if I want to. Um, and then if I want to get rid of it, I can just hit this X button. And if I want it to come back, I can just click this and it comes back. Um, one of the prompts that I asked it earlier was like create a list of items to be completed by end of the month or whatever date that would be for whatever tail it might be. And then I said, please group them accordingly to minimize hanger time while also being cost efficient. Now that's a pretty technical prompt. And this is what it gave me back when I prompted that, right? So it gave me the total number of tasks, it gave me the aircraft, um, and it gave me a list of the inspections that are coming in that 12-month interval, right? Then it gave me another list of 300-hour 12-month inspections, and then it gave me a list of engine maintenance, monthly inspections, uh, all through that single prompt, right? So how long do you think it would have taken me to search the system by myself and find out all of this information? Probably it would have taken a while, right? But this is kind of the power that Air can bring to you in your operation, right? It can take some kind of complex prompts and really outline um, work that needs to be done and give you an idea of the things that are most important that you should be working on at that time. That would be the end of our demonstration. So let's go bring in the panel, and we can ask some questions to the panel, and then we can also take your questions as they come in through the chat. Welcome, Matthew and Devin. Lindsay, do you want to introduce everybody?
Yes.
Introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay McGee. I am the customer success team lead for maintenance tracking. So I specialize in training our customers and making sure that our customers are using the platform to its full potential. Super excited to be here with Matthew Mitchell and Devin Watson today from Hendrick Motorsports. So Matt Mitchell, he brings more than 30 years of aviation experience, spanning from corporate flight departments, repair stations, and Part 147 technical instruction. Throughout his career, he has held senior leadership positions, including director of maintenance and senior manager roles, overseeing aircraft operations, maintenance personnel, fuel farms, and hangar facilities for Part 91 operations. Today, Matthew serves as Chief Inspector for Hendrick Motorsports flight operations, where his expertise is centered around regulatory compliance across Part 91, 125, and 135 operations. His deep technical knowledge and leadership background makes him a key authority on operational integrity and maintenance best practices. So happy to have you here, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And then Devin Watson, he brings more than 20 years of aviation experience, spanning corporate flight departments, MROs, and general aviation. Over the course of his career, he has held both technical and leadership roles across Part 91, Part 135, and repair station operations, managing day-to-day maintenance activities, overseeing heavy projects, and leading personnel. Today, Devin serves as asset manager for Hendrick Motorsports, supporting the organization's diverse Part 91, 125, and 135 fleet. His extensive operational experience and leadership perspective makes him a trusted voice in advancing maintenance efficiency and operational excellence. So, Devin, happy to have you here as well.
Thank you.
All right, let's kick off this panel discussion. We'll start with some maintenance tracking questions, and then we'll go into some AI-based questions. So, Matt and Devin, the first one, how has Veryon tracking changed the way your team manages maintenance and compliance day to day?
We use it every day, just of the way we do operate. We're totally electronic in all of our records, and the flight crews use this for a pre-flight, looking at the various documents that we have checklists that we do, post/pre-flight items checklists. So yeah, we use this tracking system, for obviously due lists, VOR compliances, audits that we've done in the past, and all the pilots are able to see that in real, in real time, as they pull up the crew app and be able to see those things.
So it sounds like Veryon's a part of your every morning routine or day-to-day operation.
Yeah.
What's been the most noticeable impact, whether it's faster turnaround time or better visibility or fewer surprises, but what's been the most noticeable impact with using Veryon tracking?
The not kind of in the same line of thinking, not overflying something, knowing where we are. Like if we have non-routines, the pilots can see that there was an open non-routine, whether it was deferred, and we would know if it was a deferred in our deferred log, so to speak, an MEL item. So really, that is the biggest thing. Obviously, as a QC guy. Just compliance in general with keeping, Chapter 5, Chapter 4, Chapter 5 items all up to date, and being able to, see those things in the future as they come along, and use as we do, and Devin has more experience in this than I do, but using the work order system to compile your inspections and those types of things in one place, and be able to see that and get get a budget forecast for them and those types of things.
Yeah, we use it a lot for the budgeting. We do our budget anywhere from 12 to 16 months out for each year. So we use it in that aspect quite a bit. But we also do a lot of flying here at Hendrick Motorsports. We have trips that pop up randomly, so it aids us in being able to know if we have anything that's slightly coming due. For instance, we've got the Phoenix race coming up, and we're taking our entire fleet. So there were some items that were going to potentially come due during the flight or during the trip on a couple of our aircraft, and allowed us to be able to see that and move all those items forward ahead of time so that we wouldn't fall AOG while we're there in Phoenix.
That's really interesting. That's awesome. I think too, in the future, maybe you guys can use air to try to help maintenance plan that too. Like if the aircraft is going to be flying another 30 hours, you know, what's going to be coming due. So that's really insightful. Thanks for sharing that, Devin. It's great.
Hey, Devin, as you think about, you know, what Lindsay said with air, and as we kind of talked about it, how do you think air, specifically that, you know, the maintenance planner that we showed, will be able to help you with your workflow that you guys are doing today?
I think it would help. Again, you know, the fluctuation in our flights that we have, it'll definitely keep our planning more accurate. Kind of give us, you know, we're obviously human, so having a tool to aid in that, I think it would be nice to have.
And also the AI function of it, as you were talking about, because it's that large language model type thing. You can ask it a question and it can it takes me time to search out things. I have to put in the correct words. I mean, Veryon's pretty good about what you put in, you know, it'll bring up things, but there are a lot of times you have to kind of give it the right search criteria in order to get what you want. And I believe with the AI, and I've used AI in other instances outside of flight operations, it will, you know, it will go more in depth. It'll give you your basic stuff in the beginning, and then you can ask it to drill down even further to make it even more detailed as to something you're looking for particular. And that'll be a major help when you're trying to, you know, as you said, either whether you're forecasting or just trying to search something out or trying to get some statistics or something like that of what's been going on.
There's a lot of times that we're going into heavy checks that items may come due before. So I think it would be a useful tool as far as trying to narrow down the items we know are going to fall dead for the heavy check and separate out the items that you know, maybe you're coming due, you know, a few months before, or, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to add on to what you guys were saying as well. I think just efficiency purposes of, yeah, like you can go to the maintenance tab, go to the do list, filter out, you know, how long you want to project out. With air though, quickly type your prompt, it gives you all the information right there. So
Yeah,
less clicks, I think, can go a long way too.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't always see the screen so well when I'm sitting there looking at it for 6 to 8 hours. So
Yep.
having something that I can just type it into and they give me that help, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've answered this a bit, but I would like for us to dive into a little bit more is looking ahead. How do you see tools like tracking or air evolving to make maintenance management more proactive and less reactive?
Yeah, well, you know, the planes, ones we have, obviously now we have, you know, a couple older ones that don't have the same aircraft health monitoring systems like the newer ones do. But being those are already, you know, the Honeywell and the Collins systems are already integrated for fly-by-wire type airplanes, but not just those, but I mean, just those avionics systems are already pulling a lot of data. I think in the same way, Veryon and these tracking systems, in conjunction with publications and regulations and any other, you know, service bulletins or whatever advisory material might be out there, if it can pull from all that data Brandon was speaking to that unified product experience, having that big ball of wax, if you want to call it that big item where it can draw all this information from, can definitely give you foreseeable problems maybe in the future, or maybe even issues as Devin was talking about with forecasting downtime and that kind of thing, because we're in such time constraints and stuff when we go through inspections anyway, and we already have since the 2020 issues with parts availabilities and stuff. Maybe it could even help forecast some of those things where vendors and stuff might not have the ability to service our planes correctly, or not correctly, you know what I mean. May not have all the parts to get everything at a certain time and all. So that's how I see AI maybe helping in the future.
I would agree with that, especially with critical components availability.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys like took the thoughts out of my head. I wanted us to transition a little bit into the parts piece of air. And yeah, I feel like to know, okay, these parts I'm getting low in, I need to be proactive and order these. Oh, but this vendor said they're out, so I know, Devin, you utilize, you're in charge of the parts inventory a lot. Is there maybe like a situation, or I don't know, in your role that you play, that you could see how tracking parts in air or using air would be helpful for inventory?
So our inventory, as far as stock inventory, we don't have a whole lot of, we don't keep a large stock of anything really. But I would say that, obviously we put any parts we receive in, we put in, to the system, even if we're not going to keep an inventory of it. But, so we do still track everything we put on the airplane through Veryon.
Yep.
I would say that, drop dead times or dates, costs, I have to put all of that stuff in my budget. So, I think having that tool, I guess, would be good for that.
Yeah. Or even
I
just
think
to like,
if you
go ahead.
if you had an inventory that was a little bit larger, or whatever access, maybe, I don't know how the MROs could interact with that, but yeah, being able to see repair orders and those types of things, and being able to do historicals on whether it's batteries or items that are rotables, things, brakes, batteries, those types of things that get repaired and sent out, and you can see the life items and stuff like that. That, I think the AI could help with that, and having the inventory system with Veryon definitely could help with those things.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll even say, like, I mean, for you guys, even if you wanted to type in real quick, like, when was that starter generator installed, right? And instead of going to try to search for that
Yeah.
by clicking, just ask Air real quick. Hey, when was that starter generator installed on that tail number? Oh, okay, it was that date. We can move on.
Sure.
And yeah. Well, awesome.
I have a question for Matthew or Devin. Do you feel like with the way that technology is moving, and it's moving fast, right, especially with AI, that a lot of people are going to be slow to adopt this type of technology? Or do you feel like the industry is ripe for adoption of more tools like this that are really going to help you be more efficient?
I think that people would be more likely to start integrating these systems into their everyday operations. I mean, especially the larger the fleet, definitely would make it a lot. I mean, we operate, 6, 7 different aircraft, so, and they're 91, 125, and 135. So, for us, I think it'll become a tool that we use daily, and I think other, flight departments and entities in the aviation industry, I think it's something that you're going to start seeing a lot more for sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that, as the industry embraces it more, I think there's a certain element of trust with AI. Because, we've gone through a lot of things in this world in recent years. And, I think we're like, obviously we need to abide by regulatory, constraints. So the information we get, we want to make sure it's technically correct. And so I think as people can be more at ease with those types of things, I think they definitely will use AI. Not just Veryon. I'm talking about if the industry embraces it, more of this information will be able to be shared with the model, so it'll be able to be grabbed by the AI entity a lot easier. I'm not an AI expert by any means.
By no
That's just
means.
my view of how I think it should interact. But of course, you have copyright laws and all kinds of different things you have to deal with. So
Yeah, I think AI is new to all of us, right, Matt? And this is just a step in the right direction, trying to utilize it in our operations and see how
sure.
it can help us.
I wanted to ask the panel, maybe as well as anybody online, if you had any other additional questions, maybe specifically even around like agentic AI. I know that I touched on that a little bit, and I know that can be a little bit over everybody's head when it comes to like what those capabilities really mean and what those are. And so I'm happy to answer those questions as well if you guys had any around that.
When you talk about agent, what in that term is that when it's an agent, is that where it's drawing its information from?
Yeah. So really what it is what I showed you earlier. It's more of the conversational AI, and that's really all it is. Like you're typing in a question, it's querying your data, and it's giving you back an answer based on what it sees, right? Agents are more like it's AI that's happening in the background, so it's a learning model, right? So it's learning about what your system does and the type of questions and the type of actions and things that that you do. And then it's going to predict and help you to optimize your workflow, your operation by analyzing things that are coming due. So, like for instance, if I had an inventory agent that I had turned on, right, that was looking strictly at my inventory, it could say, "Hey, I can see right now that your inventory is low on this particular part, and you have an upcoming inspection that's due next week. Would you like me to order this part right now so that by the time you have your inspection, the part is there and it won't be delayed, right?"
Gotcha.
And so things like that, right? Where it's like it's intelligently thinking about things that are and planning things ahead so that you don't have to think about it, or that you can, be on time, save money, save cost. Oh, by the way, this part that I found here is a little bit less expensive if you source it from over here. Would you like me to order it from this place instead? Things like that, right? So it's intelligently thinking about how to save your organization money, time, all of those things. That's where the power of agents really kind of come into play.
Brandon, there was a few questions in the chat specifically about air and tracking and when it's going to be available. So I'm just going to answer those real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so Veryon Air is available for anyone that would like to be a part of our beta testing starting as soon as today. The beta period will run through the end of December. So that means between now and the end of December, you can have Air within your maintenance tracking platform and, ask it prompts, utilize it. And if you do become a beta tester, we would like your feedback on Air. So we would set up a meeting with you to gather that feedback, and that's for current customers. Now, starting the new year, Air will cost if you are going to use more than 3 prompts per user per day. And that cost will be around 10 to 15% on top of what your annual subscription is. So, but if you'd like to enable Veryon Air now, please reach out to your customer success manager if you're a current customer, and we'd be happy to turn that on for you. And then the last question about Air was how secure is that data in Air? And Air uses end-to-end encryption, role-based access control, and comprehensive audit logging to safeguard your data. So all services run in a containerized microservices architecture that meets or exceeds industry best practice. And our AI models operate on de-identified data assets, so your maintenance records stay private.
Matthew, Devin, thank you so much for joining us. Lindsay, thank you for moderating the panel. And again, if anybody has any questions or would like any follow-up discussions around air or around maintenance tracking or any of our other products in general, please feel free to reach out, and we're happy to set up some follow-up discussions with you around those items.